European Union leaders met at a Belgian castle to discuss measures to revive Europe's economy amid challenges from China and the United States. While they agreed on the need for decisive action, differences remain over the best approach. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán emphasized the importance of peace, noting that ongoing conflicts block economic growth and competitiveness.
So in fact, competitiveness means that the European economy is going down. And we should stop the process and we should go up again. How we can do it, that's the question. I think we should do three things. It's not complicated. First, stop the war. We need peace because in war, the economic growth is blocked. So war is bad for the business.
The summit highlighted shared concerns about Europe's economic slowdown, with leaders exploring strategies to boost trade, investment, and industrial output. Despite differing opinions on solutions, officials pledged to act boldly to ensure Europe remains globally competitive. The meeting underscores the EU's urgent focus on economic revival and collaboration in the face of international pressures. In the news, tensions flared at the National Assembly during the 2026 budget defense of the Ministry of Steel Development as Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan clashed with committee chairman Senator Patrick Onhabueze. The Minister of Steel Development, Prince Shaibu Abubakar Audu, told lawmakers that the proposed 500 million naira capital allocation for 2026 was insufficient to revive the Ajaokuta Steel Company, estimating that between $1.5 billion and $2 billion would be required. He added that expected Russian financing was affected by the Russia-Ukraine war.
We are right, in September 2024, we signed an MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding with the OEM, the original equipment manufacturers, basically the guys that built Ajaokuta initially, the TPE and their consortium, like you rightly mentioned. But what we discovered and what we realized several months after the transaction, the MOU had been consummated, was that the Russia-Ukraine war was a big distraction, and it restricted their capacity to be able to fund that transaction. Based on our own in-house analysis and the research and data that we have, the project will need between $1.5 to $2 billion for a revival of Ajaokuta, and the federal government does not have the funding. As you can see, the capital budget for Ajaokuta is around 500 million, and what is required for the revamp is about 3 trillion naira. So there's a massive disconnect. So we have to raise the funding privately. So what we decided to do with the blessing of Mr. President was to pivot. Basically, I had a discussion with Mr. President, put all the facts on the table, and a decision was made for us to pivot to China.
Senator Natasha disagreed, citing a previous $50 billion Russian commitment to Africa and an existing memorandum of understanding on Ajaokuta between former President Muhammadu Buhari and President Vladimir Putin.
I'm speaking to myself. I do not want to be a liar.
Yes.
I'm not calling you a liar, but I said the worst thing what exception do you take by me saying I don't want to be a liar?
We should not lie to Nigerians. We are not lying to Nigerians.
Okay, so when did the Ukraine-Russian war start? When did President Buhari meet with Putin, President Putin? That was in, I think, October, November 2019, right? And it was right there. If you can pull the records from the pages of the newspaper,
yes, but
you will see that it was at that meeting. Hold a second, please. Hold a second. Let me land, please. Let me speak, please. It was at that MOU. It was at that bilateral agreement between President Mohamed Buhari and President Putin in Russia, at Sochi there in Russia, that the 1.45 billion was declared
But
by
the
the
war
Russian
was not on
government.
then. The war was not on then, yes.
And
So the
it was
war
then
was the
said
game
that
changer.
that money will be lodged in Afri-Exim Bank. Of course, it was to be taken
But
out
that
of
was
the
under
50.
a
Let me
different
speak,
government.
please.
No, because your facts are not correct.
Whether it's a
That's
different
why.
government,
The
there's
facts are not
continuity
correct.
in ministry. So I do
Yes.
not think that
That I clarify when you make
Nigeria's economic plan should not restart every time a government changes. There should be continuity.
There should be continuity,
So you
absolutely.
probably
Which
had a
was
briefing
why-
from the previous minister. Let me get there, please. I'll have to restart again. Each time you stop me or interject, I will restart. So let me flow. In 2019, there was a bilateral agreement entered into in Sochi, Russia, between President Mohamed Buhari, of late blessed memory, and President Putin. And that bilateral agreement, Ajaokuta was, of course, a top focus, and 1.45 billion was pledged by the government. The money was domiciled in Afri-Exim Bank and was supposed to be taken out of the $50 billion that Russia had put forth for African countries to access. Hold a second. We started, of course, you were not a minister then, but the ministry existed.
I was a banker.
As tensions rose, committee chairman Senator Nwabueze proposed an oversight visit and further investigative hearing, but Natasha protested after not being recognized to speak and later staged a walkout.
Minister, before we get to close this session, emphasis please. The oversight we are talking about should not exceed this quarter.
Okay.
Please.
Right.
Shouldn't by any reason. Even if there is war going on in Ajaokuta, we want to be there. That's one. Two, we are not allowing minister to go when we are still sitting. But because we are in our own. You have been.
But I still have to say something.
But because we are in our own house where we are sitting, so we might call it a day with the minister and we'll return the MD Ajaokuta and the National Iron Ore Mining, because we have to attend to you today.
Please do not like
Thank you.
Have something to say. You have that. Please, do you mind if I do so?
Distinguished, let us call it a
No, I'd
close
like
for
to,
the
please,
minister.
it's very important,
When
please.
we come for investigative
No,
hearing,
Honorable
we invite-
Minister, please, I'd like to say
I think,
this.
Mr. Minister,
No, please, do not
we
hit the
have-
gavel. I still have something to say, and I think you should respect me enough. Please don't do
I've
that.
given you respect.
No, that's
Mr.
not it.
Minister, your
Mr.
time
Chairman.
is up. Thank you.
Then that's fine.
You
That's
are,
okay.
you are
I
to
think
wait.
you've
Don't go with
disrespected me
it.
more than enough
No, no, no.
on this. No, you can't do this to me. You can't. You spoke
It's
about me
okay.
enough to allow me speak. I have something very vital to interface with on the minister. And it doesn't matter if I've spoken once or twice. This is an interactive session. And you agree that we have not met with the minister enough. Only God knows when next we are going to meet with him as a committee.
Despite the disruption, the committee continued the budget defense of other agencies under the ministry.